board at the Liberton Bray entrance. Pinned on it was a council warning not to misbehave, 16 bullet points written in constipated quasi-legal language. No person shall, whilst in a cemetery, wilfully or carelessly use any profane or offensive language or behave in an offensive, disorderly or insulting manner. "Fuck off," Dorothy said under her breath. They reached the freshly dug grave and put Kathleen down on a low wooden plinth alongside. Archie joined Dorothy as the mourners gathered at the other side of the grave. The smell of damp earth was strong, and Dorothy thought of planting and rebirth. She was spiritual, not religious, didn't follow any doctrine, but did believe there were energies in the universe we don't fully understand. Hannah told her that modern physics agreed. The interconnectedness of things, chaos theory, fuzzy logic, quantum entanglement. She looked at the coffin and the grave. Burial was becoming less common, cremation overtaking. Both were terrible for the environment, but most people they dealt with were old and liked the old ways. Things take time to change. The minister stood at the head of the grave. Danny glared at his uncle, who stood next to his wife. Mike had a strong jaw and blue eyes. Roxanne had bright red hair, Jackie O shades, and a low-cut black dress. Dorothy glanced at the adjacent gravestone, worked out the age of William Hush when he died. 67. She did this with every grave. Now at 72. She was older than many, she calculated. The minister's monotone fought with the traffic noise from Liberton Bray. A bus's chugging engine filled the air. 2 crows took off from a gravestone and flew into a fir tree. Dorothy felt drops of rain on her face. "You fucking know!" This was Danny pointing at Mike. Evan reached for Danny's shoulder, but Danny shook him off. The minister stopped. Danny took 2 steps towards Mike. "You know where he is!" Mike shook his head and took his hands out of his pockets. "Danny," he said, "he's gone." "No." Danny took more steps. "He faked the whole thing and you know all about it." "You're wrong." Mike's fists were clenched. He shifted his shoulders so that he was now protecting Roxanne. "You bastard!" Danny lunged at him. Mike ducked, but not quick enough, got a thunk on the side of his head, which knocked him off balance. Danny shoved his chest and kicked his crotch. Mike doubled over. Danny went to punch again, but Mike shoulder-charged him, arms around his waist as they staggered towards the open grave. Danny smacked the back of Mike's head, then writhed free and spun the pair of them round. Mike's heels hung over the lip of the hold as Danny pummeled him. They lurched backward, and for a moment they were suspended over the grave. Mike's feet scrambled until he found footing on the other edge of the grave, Danny gripping his waist, their weight propelling them over the hole and straight into Kathleen's coffin, which slid off the plinth and smacked into William Hush's gravestone. The lid split as the casket fell back from the stone. Then it flapped open and Kathleen sprawled onto the grass, her face thumping the ground, skirt riding up her thighs, arms splayed out like she was skydiving. Chapter 2. Jenny. She stepped into the water and her breath caught in her chest. She waded deeper, grey swells hitting her thighs and groin. She breathed, tried to get over the shock. Each time she did this, her body acted like it would never recover. Gradually her breathing softened, but her skin still burned with cold. She went in up to her chest and turned. Porty Beach had changed a lot in the few years since she'd lived down here. It was mostly empty back then, and no one went wild swimming. She hated that term. It was just swimming. Now groups of women were out in the water, bathing-capped heads bobbing like inquisitive seals along the seafront. Some folk were on paddleboards, kayaks, a rowing boat heading to Musselburgh. The sky reflected the shifting grey of the sea. She swam straight out. Most other swimmers were in groups, but she wasn't someone who joined in.